Senator Roger Marshall on Fox News Live.
We cannot blow this chance. This is the president's legacy, his agenda. If you supported President Trump, you should support this bill. This is going to be the largest tax decrease in American history. We're going to secure the border, a whole lot of other good things. But mostly, this is the beginning of America's great golden era.
The bill includes taxes, immigration, energy, and defense. Some concerned senators met today with the president to discuss possible changes. Elon Musk adding his 2 cents on the big bill. He's calling for the legislation to be thrown out. The Tesla CEO posting on X, the latest version is utterly insane and destructive. He says it's focused on the past rather than on the future. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of limiting nationwide injunctions, clearing the way for President Trump to move forward with some policies. Fox's Madeline Rivera.
The High Court did not rule on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship, though, so its fate is unclear. Still, the decision is a major win for the administration, which has railed against federal judges. There have been more than 30 nationwide injunctions in President Trump's second term, and that is about as much as what former Presidents Obama, Bush, and Biden faced in their terms combined.
These judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years.
The court also sided with religious parents in Maryland, allowing opt-outs for lessons involving LGBTQ. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Kennedy. You've been asking for longer episodes of Kennedy Saves the World, and baby, now you're gonna get it, because we recorded our live 4th of July special at Langan's in New York City, featuring special guests, Fox 5 New York's Rosanna Scotto, Dr. Drew Pinsky, Emily Compagno, and Jimmy Fallon. The full episode will be available Wednesday, July 2nd. Kennedy Saves your 4th of July. Follow Kennedy Saves the World on Apple, Spotify, and FoxNewsPodcast.com.
Every weekday, it's your go-to source for staying informed and entertained. The Fox News Primetime Highlights Podcast, offering a curated selection of the most impactful moments of the Ingram Angle, Jesse Waters Primetime, Hannity, and Gutfeld. Listen and follow now so you never miss a moment of the action-packed highlights from these must-watch Fox News Channel shows. Go to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A heavy police presence on Indy's west side Saturday morning. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. A man is in custody after leading police on a high-speed chase. WIBC's Ryan Hedrick saw it all unfold.
We're not sure where this chase originated at, but we do know that it ended on Indianapolis's west side along North 16th. On the corner of West Winfield Drive, a black pickup truck being driven by a guy with dreads and light skin smashed into several cars at a mom and pop car dealership right by Jane's Barbershop, traveling westbound, surrounded by multiple IMPD cars with long guns, officers, and a drone. The man surrendered after about an hour, right around when his family showed up. The situation ended peacefully. The guy's in cuffs. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Authorities in LaPorte County say a 10-month-old did not survive a car crash that also led to the car catching fire. The incident happening Friday. Deputies say the flames from the vehicle were so strong that they couldn't approach the vehicle until firefighters put out the blaze, but the child tragically died. An investigation is now active. A community in Cumberland heartbroken over the loss of a 12-year-old, Jeremiah Cotton, who died early Friday morning in an accidental shooting.
I was appalled because I knew that that little boy has spent moments with us. I didn't know how to take it.
Aisha Helmer talking to Wish TV. She said Cotton and her son were friends. The boy was in a residence with at least 4 other young people and no adults when the shooting occurred. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Tonight, in the lower 70s, partly cloudy skies, some areas of patchy fog. For Sunday, we'll have partly cloudy skies to start, turning mostly cloudy, spotty afternoon downpours, highs in the mid to upper 80s. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Denny Smith here. The hot summer sales continue at Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens. Happening now, save more when you buy more trees and shrubs. Now, when you buy 2, you save 10%. When you buy 4, you save 20%. And get this, when you buy 6 or more trees and or shrubs, you save 30%. Also, if you need a refresh in the porch planters, annuals are 30% off. Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville. Sundown Gardens, 186th Street, Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
There are screening tests to catch cancer early. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIPC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your Bohemian Cadre, Ethan Hatcher, and that's producer Jack, working the board, pressing the buttons, and doing the things to keep the show functioning. Producer Jack, get ready to be worked up into a blind rage at how incompetent, feckless, and cowardly your local representatives are. The people who are sitting both at the state government level, in the IEDC board, as well as sitting on the city council, are absolutely despicable, and we'll go into the details why. Last week, you might remember Krista Carlino, city council member, rightly after Lauren Roberts was expelled from offering testimony following the release of the Fisher's report on the sexual harassment scandal that's been unfolding in the city council building. She called for the resignation of not only Mayor Joe Hogsett, but also the resignation of the city county council president, Vop Osley, as she should, for the way that this entire debacle has been handled. But this week we found out that the Democrats, in the most petty and predictable move imaginable, had removed her from the caucus. She had resigned from her committee positions on the city council, and they pressured her into an apology. So then did the city councilwoman, instead of standing her ground and showing fortitude, she doubled back and offered an apology, apologizing for making the demand in the city county council meeting for the resignation of both the mayor and the city county council president. This was in an interview with Abdul, where she admitted that the Democrats in the city council had essentially bullied her into apologizing for telling the truth.
Were you kicked out of the caucus? Because that would seem to be an issue here. Because the way I understood it was you were kicked out of the caucus until you issued a formal apology, which you did, the 3-page on council letterhead. So were you kicked out of the caucus, or were you just banned from the caucus until you issued an apology?
So I was not in the room when any votes were taken or deliberated on. I was asked to step out of the room 2 or 3 times, if I recall. So I can't speak to exactly what the vote was and the description of it. But essentially, and someone from the caucus unfortunately leaked this, but, given an ultimatum essentially and a 24-hour timeline, that I would be expelled pending the receipt of a public apology for my actions, which I gave.
You're a crook. You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this?
So by apologizing, City Councilwoman Krista Carlino is showing that she doesn't give a damn about the victims who were harassed by the former Deputy Mayor Thomas Carl Cook. She doesn't give a damn about the misdeeds of the mayor and these extremely questionable text messages that he was sending to subordinates. Very suggestive, very creepy stuff, let alone his personal misconduct and alleged substance abuse abuse, mainly dealing with alcohol. So, like, she's showing she doesn't care about any of that. The politics is more important. Saving face with the party, with the Democrats, is more important. What a sad state of affairs when the socialist shows more moral fortitude than the Democrats of the city county council. And here, Krista Carlino, by apologizing, completely takes away and neuters any effect from demanding the resignation to begin with. But she attempts to save face by saying, no, I didn't apologize for demanding the resignation. No. I apologized for doing it in a city county council meeting instead of just printing it on social media. So, deflating where it would have the most impact. But you can't do that. You can't double back like she attempted to do in the same interview with Abdul.
Do you still believe the mayor should resign, step down, or it's up to the voters, or?
I didn't issue an apology for my resignation calls, especially not the mayor. I think it's unconventional, Abdul. You were there that night, that I utilized the public forum, a committee meeting, to make such a statement. Normally, those statements are written and put out, not read into the record. And so that was really important to me. I think that was one of the most shocking things to my colleagues, that I read that into the record for my own colleagues, the president, vice president, who represent the entire council, not just the Democratic caucus.
So you still believe the mayor should resign? It's sort of the...
I stand by everything that I've said, yes.
Just want to double check to make sure.
It is crazy. We say to give a woman power is like to give a gun to a monkey. We have stopped doing that ever since the 1999 Astana Zoo massacre.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't apologize and simultaneously stand behind the words that you apologized for. Krista Carlino is playing games, as are other corrupt members of the City County Council, including the leader of the Republican caucus there on the City County Council, Michael Paul Hart. He gave an interesting interview with Tony Katz this week on the Tony Katz Morning Show, essentially admitting the reason why you haven't heard more from Republicans, it's primarily been Democrats who have been calling for the resignation of Joe Hogsett, though not nearly enough, but only one Republican. And you would think this is a prime opportunity for Republicans, for the GOP in Marion County, to be making political hay on what is a substantial scandal that is unfolding within the administration. But no, them too, it's more important to play politics and to curry favor in these backhanded deals than it is to stand on principle. Here's Michael Paul Hart admitting that he's not calling for the resignation of Joe Hogsett, not because it's the wrong thing to do, but because he won't get any traction for his personal projects around the city. This is gross. This should piss you off.
Here's the deal with resignation. In 2020 to 2022, when we were new on the caucus as Republicans, we tried a hyper-partisan approach, and it failed. We got nothing done in the mayor's office. We got nothing done on the council. But what my district and what other Republican councilors need in their district is we have a lot of long-term projects that we're working on. Me personally, I've got Washington Street from 465 all the way to Carroll Road. I've got the Washington Square Mall. People elected me to improve the economic vitality of that district. Beyond that, I've got a 460-acre lot that's being slated for a data center that people need my support and my help to get these things done. And then, of course, there's the day-to-day stuff, right? There's the pothole fills, the trash removals.
Counselor, I'm going to interrupt you, and forgive me for that. Are you making the argument that you have not called for Joe Hogsett's resignation because if you do, you can't get these things done for your district, that it's political, that you aren't calling for his resignation?
I have a strong feeling that if I call for resignation, I will be less effective as a counselor in my district. And I've got a lot of people that are depending on me to make sure that I bring economic involvement back to the east side of Indianapolis, and I have to work with the mayor's office to get that done.
Shame. 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 Shame.
This is the corrupting influence that wielding power brings. Instead of standing on principle, it's more important to keep the circular flow of cash going, to keep the trickle for your district, for your lobbyists, for your individuals in your district, than it is to demand the right thing. This is disgusting from Michael Paul Hart, and it was unbelievable that he was actually willing to admit the quiet part out loud in that interview with Tony Katz, and that's because Tony Katz was writing or asking the right questions there. But if this hasn't been enough to make your blood boil, producer Jack, here's one more news item that is going to tip you over the edge, and I can already see you breaking out in a cold sweat, but you're going to turn beet red after you find out that in addition, this is going back all the way to 2005 when the city signed a deal with the Colts ownership to keep them here for another 30 years that included giving them a multi-million-dollar sports ball facility in the Lucas Oil Stadium. Now, of course, the city still on paper retains ownership of the facility, but the primary benefactors of that building are Jim Irsay, the Colts, and the Irsay family from the revenue that is generated there. It's not being given to the city. It's being given to this billionaire family in order to keep them around, just that way we can have the bread and circuses of the Colts performing here in the city. But it gets even better because now we found out from the Twitter handle of Indy Reporter, great account, by the way, at Indy_Reporter_, where they uncovered a contract that was signed by the Indiana Economic Development Commission giving almost $1 million on top of that cushy deal to the Colts, producer Jack. Now, they gave over a 3-year contractual deal from 2019 to 2022, a total of $975,000, which included signage on the Colts Stadium field promoting the IEDC. Why are taxpayers, you and I, paying to promote the IEDC on the Colts Stadium? And it included a suite with nearly 3 dozen free tickets. I think it was 21 suite level tickets, 6 standing room level only tickets, parking passes, and then access to catering as well. Producer Jack, have you ever gotten invited to a Colts game on the state dime before?
No.
No, neither have I. But yet we paid almost $1 million so that way these individuals can have 21 free suite level tickets, which themselves cost thousands of dollars, and that's how they're spending your money. That when they extract it, every time you go at the McDonald's, you've got to pay a tax on top of it, on top of the sales tax that you already pay just to sustain the Lucas Oil Stadium. We're still paying off the Market Square Arena from the 1980s, and then you're giving them extra, or not you, but for you, the IEDC is giving them an extra $1 million on top of it. This should absolutely send you into a blind rage. And according to Indy Reporter, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are also apparently contracts with the Pacers, with Indy Motorsports. So we'll be finding out more details in the coming days, hopefully, of just how substantial the waste, fraud, and abuse going on in our own Republican-led state really is. And this underscores the necessity more than ever before, for an Indiana Doge to come in and blow the lid off this fraud, waste, and abuse that is going on in government under the Republicans' watch. So I'll give you a moment to calm down there, producer Jack. I can see you beat red in a blind rage. So we'll cut to break, and then coming up next, we'll give you more details talking about the Supreme Court victory that was handed to Donald Trump this week. Exciting stuff. Stay tuned.
Hammer and Nigel.
Big, beautiful bill. It's big. It's a bill.
We're going to grow this economy. We're going to spend some money. But you got to spend money to make money.
Does anybody trust the government, Republicans or Democrats, to get it right and do that? But if this were Democrats pushing through another $5 trillion, we'd say, what the hell are you doing? If you don't stop the spending, we're going to run out of money.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Pat Sullivan here with exciting news from my friends at Hope Plumbing, now known as Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Hope now offers plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services, bringing total comfort to your home. No more dealing with multiple home service memberships. For only $8 a month, Hope is now your one-stop for safety and maintenance inspections and so much more. Make sure you're prepared for those Indiana summer heat waves with an AC tune-up by calling Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today at 641-HOPE.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Meals from those years are hard to forget. It was all white bread and whole milk, hamburger casseroles and quiche Lorraines, all with a side of cigarettes. We ate salads as desserts. We knew a party was classy if it had a cheese log, and we never missed an after-dinner smoke. It didn't matter if we were in our dining rooms, a burger joint, or the ritziest of restaurants. There'd be an ashtray on every table, and that very particular flavor in every meal. We smoked for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's amazing that our food could taste like anything else. If that was you then, get your lungs screened now. Surviving lung cancer starts with a scan. Learn more at screenyourlungs.org. This PSA was made possible by industry funding and guidance from lung cancer patient groups.
Latrell spent more than 8 years in foster care. His world changed when he was adopted at 15 with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
I think about how much we love him, and I wish we could have had him for his entire childhood.
The foundation is changing the lives of thousands of teens waiting in foster care. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. I was on the verge of being homeless. My house was being foreclosed on. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
Up to 100 times more potent than morphine, the tiniest amount of illegal fentanyl is all it takes to cause an overdose. Learn more at cdc.gov/overdose.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIPC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Saturday Night on the Circle, celebrating a major victory delivered to President Trump by the Supreme Court on Friday, limiting the excessive authority wielded by Marxist leftist district judges across the nation to give these nationwide injunctions against the president, thus overstepping their authority. They are not meant to exceed the authority of the president. And if constitutional issues arise, well, that's going to be handled by the Supreme Court, not by these district judges, something that was celebrated by Chief of Staff Stephen Miller when he was commenting on this Supreme Court ruling.
This 6-3 ruling restores American democracy. So President Trump, over the last 5 months, had more nationwide injunctions issued against him that were issued in the 100 years of the 20th century. Most of these nationwide injunctions have come from a small handful of very hard left district court judges in just 4 or 5 cities like Los Angeles, Boston, San Francisco, Chicago. No one in America consented to be ruled by a district court judge in Chicago or Manhattan or Los Angeles or San Francisco. They elected one American president to run the executive branch. Today, the Supreme Court has said President Trump is the one in charge of the executive branch. The Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security. That is how our democracy works. Every 4 years, we go to the polls and we elect a president. We do not elect a Marxist judge in a far left city to rule over us. And that's what the Supreme Court said today.
Oh, yes! 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 Oh!
what we saw taking place, producer Jack, was a partisan usury of the judiciary to affect their desired results. The judiciary is supposed to be above politics, but the Democrats and the Marxist judges that they appointed were using that as a weapon against the president. That's not what the Constitution had designed the justices for, and the Supreme Court recognized that and at least limited the scope of their ability to put out these nationwide injunctions and limiting it to the classes that are represented within the suit being brought forward in these district courts. That is a much more reasonable exercise of judicial authority. So they're being reined in there by the Supreme Court. Now this allows President Trump to pursue his agenda more freely, including calling into question and changing the interpretation, or how modern interpretation has been used for the 14th Amendment regarding birthright citizenship, something that the president is seeking to overturn.
Thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies.
Do it. And the president is absolutely right, producer Jack. When the 14th Amendment was crafted, it was meant to deal with ensuring and enshrining the rights and freedoms that were granted to the recently freed slaves after the Civil War. It had nothing to do with giving this automatic citizenship to whoever wandered across our border and decided to have an anchor baby here. That's not the way that the 14th Amendment was originally interpreted. And if that was always the case, as liberals would posit, then riddle me this, producer Jack, then why was it necessary to have the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924 if the 14th Amendment had already granted those born within the borders of the United States automatic birthright citizenship? That's a little bit of a head scratcher, wouldn't you say? Well, it would seem then that the interpretation of the 14th Amendment has changed over time, most recently in modern history, to then allow this unlimited invasion into our country, and then granting these people who don't come in the front door the right way automatic citizenship. That's not what the 14th Amendment was originally intended to do. So this ruling from the Supreme Court now allows the president more freedom to pursue those objectives in his administration. Another objective in the administration, one that I wholeheartedly disagree with, is passing the so-called big, beautiful bill, which is now more bloated and Byzantine than ever before, although you have senators like John Kennedy who are calling for a vote and, quote, the jackassery to end so people can support this bloated behemoth of a bill? I think not.
They're trying to make everybody happy. It can't be done. We have cussed and discussed and rediscussed. We need to start voting. Everybody needs to adult real hard, and the jackassery has to stop.
Daddy, chill. What the hell is even that? Get everybody out of my yard!
No, the jackassery is continuing to spend trillions of dollars and doing nothing to substantially address the runaway spending at the federal government level. They're even talking about preserving the energy tax credit, something that was lambasted in the Biden administration. They're talking... and then not to mention the myriads of addendums and amendments that have been made to this bill the Republicans didn't read the bill when it was first produced, let alone the myriads of amendments that have now been offered. This is not beneficial to Americans to pass this, no matter how Donald Trump wants to package it. You know, sometimes we can agree with the president, sometimes we can disagree. This is one of those instances. And Elon Musk also calling for Congress not to pass this bloated bill because it's gotten worse than ever before with the amendments, and any cuts that were offered have been defanged by these corrupt representatives in government. Of course, something else that we lived through, all of us last week, live on Saturday night on The Circle, was the airstrike against Iranian nuclear assets by Donald Trump. And it seems that the conflict has not boiled over, although Donald Trump did declare a ceasefire, and briefly both Iran and Israel continue to exchange missiles, causing him to lose his temper and drop an F-bomb during a helicopter presser.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
He's out of line, but he's right.
And that's why I don't believe for an instant, even though Donald Trump declared the ceasefire a victory and end the 12-day war. Look, these countries have been fighting for thousands of years. You're not going to be solving it in a couple of weeks. You're not going to solve the Middle East crisis. And then as far as setting back their nuclear program, they have been weeks or months away from acquiring a nuke for 30 years now. And here's the problem, producer Jack. You can't stuff that genie back in the bottle. We have understood nuclear technology dating back to the 1950s, the 1960s. You can't just keep other nations from accessing knowledge that already exists. Ideas are bulletproof, producer Jack. So it doesn't matter how many scientists we kill or how many facilities we bomb. Eventually, they're going to get their hands on this technology. So it calls into question how wise it is for Americans to involve ourselves with this conflict. Now, if Israel wants to, lob bombs at Iran, that's their prerogative. It should not be the job of the United States to be the world's police, and that is my opinion on the matter. One more soundbite I wanted to play before we cut to break. The Secretary General of NATO, in a weird way of characterizing the Trump F-bomb.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'm not sure where he was going with that, but Donald Trump ain't my daddy, and I don't need the government to be my father. That's a little weird. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Coming up next, the Sound Dump. Don't miss it.
It's another week of this.
I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either.
And another day for this.
First heat wave of the summer.
Temperatures soaring into the 90s. Plus, another possibility of this.
President Biden's use of the auto pen.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Shooting on Monument Circle.
Just another day.
Not with all this happening.
Every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Puccini's Pizza, Pasta, Puccini's. 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 Puccini's Pizza, Pasta, Puccini's.
My name is Juanita Segura, and I was diagnosed in November of 2014 with non-small cell lung cancer. The first time I heard about biomarker testing was actually My husband, he just started researching about lung cancer.
And I found out about biomarker testing, and I'm like, why not? Let's try it.
I'm Dr. Jorge Gomez, thoracic medical oncologist at the Mount Sinai Hospital. Comprehensive biomarker testing is looking for either substances in the blood or mutations in some of the genes of the cancer cells that can help us identify special types of lung cancer that can be treated with what we call targeted therapies.
Letting my children know brought all of us a sense of hope. To give them hope that mom is going to be around to see you grow up. And I promised them that.
Ask your doctor about how comprehensive biomarker testing before treatment may help you and your doctor decide on the best treatment for you. Visit noonemiss.org for more.
A public service message from Longevity Foundation.
Over the last few years, things have gotten weird.
And for our kids, these things can be overwhelmingly stressful.
Scientific research
and real-life experience
tell us that the #1 antidote to stress is authentic, trusted relationships.
So that's why I
am committed to building and maintaining a trusted space.
This is a trusted space.
Access free films and resources to build trusted spaces in your schools and communities at atrustedSpace.org.
News, I'm Daria Aldinger. The Senate could soon vote to begin debate on the big, beautiful bill. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
We have this new working class coalition that was delivered promises on the campaign trail. It's now time for us to deliver on those promises as an elected body. We will get the job done.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer wants the 940-page bill read aloud before debate. Senate's blocked a resolution to prevent the president from authorizing another strike on Iran without an okay from Congress. Wisconsin Republican Ron Johnson.
I completely agree with President Trump that we can never allow the Ayatollahs in Iran to become a nuclear power.
Lawmakers in both parties criticized the president after the last strike. America's listening to Fox News.
It's now open. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg, right in front of Premier Arms on Green Street. You got to see the selection, newly expanded, the gold, the diamonds, the silver, the gemstones, the local artists, and of course, that watch collection. Guys, you got to trust me on this one right here. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg, 317-456-4010. That's 456-4010. Or find them online at pajewelers.jewelry. That's pajewelers.jewelry.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. But not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Let's go sunning, it's so good for you. Let's go sunning, neath the sky of blue. Greet the sun every morn. Feel as free and happy as the day you were born. Let's go native.
You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
Pretty flowers need the sun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, where once again it's time to delve into the slime and grime of another week in news. You'll hear Secretary Hegseth scoff at ridiculous word games performatively exploited by leftist journalists. Also, a DEI expert in Congress admits the race-based policy prescriptions of their agenda, and a disgraced ex-congressman, Jamal Bowman, forms a curious theory to explain the rates of obesity in the black community. Lastly, you'll hear how even inflation has hit Hogwarts hard. All of this for your weekly edition of The Sound Dump.
I'll take you for a ride. I'm a garbage truck.
It's the Saturday Night Sound Dump on 93 WIPC.
I take you to the dump. I show you the sights, you know you wanna ride. I'm a garbage truck.
Welcome back to Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your bespectacled curmudgeon, Ethan Hatcher, and that's producer Jack on the board, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function. We're starting this segment off with Pete Hegseth rightly scoffing at a journalist for playing word games. This is after the Iranian nuclear strikes, where he referred to the B-2 bombers as our boys, and naturally that sent the feminazis a tizzy. And Pete Hegseth put him in their place.
I don't acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission. The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. Very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games.
Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
By policing the language, thought police, they're trying to control and cajole you. That's always the ultimate aim of leftists, is controlling you by limiting your ability to express yourself by playing these weird withering games. And Pete Hegseth ain't putting up with it, as right he shouldn't. He gave credit where it's due to the female members of the Air Force who did participate. But then calling them our boys is not meant to be a pejorative for any service member working in the military. This is something that I ran into when I was in college, where they tried to police the language and make everything gender neutered, gender neutral, to appease the liberals in academia. Again, trying to control and cajole you. Something that they are also attempting to do through the policies of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this was in a congressional hearing this week where Representative Brandon Gill lambasted one of these liberal academics who was propagating and promoting DEI in the government, and calling it out on the crap. And he admitted tacitly how race-based these policy prescriptions actually are.
Do you believe that America should be a colorblind society? For instance, should people be treated differently based on their race? It's just a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question.
It's a yes or no question.
It is a, as I said in the beginning of my testimony, America
yes or
has
no
not done right by indigenous peoples, by black people, by Asian American and Pacific Islander people.
Should people be treated differently based on their race? Yes or no?
People should receive the services and the support and the remedies that are owed to them.
That they should be treated differently based on their race.
They should receive the remedies that are owed to them because of the systemic racism.
I have never said that you are not good at what you do. It's just that what you do is not worth doing.
So there he's admitting that what you're owed is entirely dependent on your racial makeup, on how you tick, how you fill out the tick boxes on their checklist. And that's gross. That is contrary to the system that we've set up in this country that recognizes and respects the right of the individual based on their character, based on their output, not based on their identifiers, which is the way that these DEI operatives operate. And to show you how warped that level of thinking is, here's ex-Congressman Jamal Bowman, who says that racism is the reason why the African American community has a higher rate of heart attacks, diabetes, and obesity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment.
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Jamal.
But unfortunately, we're still here.
Jamal.
You serious?
I mean, you heard him right. He's claiming that black people who are victims of psychic racism, not even expressed verbal racism, just psychic racism, negative thoughts, they're going to have negative health outcomes as a result of that. Absolutely ridiculous. And if Jamal Bowman believes that African Americans are so fragile, then imagine what he thinks will happen to Brandon Johnson after he was confronted by another African American at a Chicago town hall meeting, calling him out for the same kind of DEI race-based bullcrap that you just heard in the congressional hearing, except now this is a black man who is calling out the mayor on the racism that those policies implement.
Thank the DOJ for opening up an investigation on the mayor's insane, out-of-control DEI hiring. You said in a recent interview that black people don't just look out for ourselves, but for everyone else as well. Well, clearly they're not getting the memo because they're destroying downtown and they're destroying the city with things like teen takeover. And when you say things like this, it just makes you look more incompetent and racist as a mayor. You need to start pushing more law and order in the city of Chicago. Help the police do their job. I am asking you all to vote for the curfew and make the curfew time permanent for teens. Hold the parents accountable as well. Teens are doing majority of the crime, and you know it, Brandon Johnson. They're even putting it on YouTube. They're openly mocking you. They're mocking you on Instagram and YouTube and all social media platforms, and you allow it every single day.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Now, ultimately, I don't think that black people are as fragile as Jamal Bowman would have you believe is the case. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 WIBC. Also this week, Donald Trump, in classic form, he had a little humorous aside talking about former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
You had a terrible head of transportation. We have a very good one now, Sean Duffy. But you had Buttigieg, and he didn't know a damn thing. He'd ride to work on his bicycle. He didn't know what the hell was going on. It was terrible.
But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
Yeah, definitely. One of the worst transportation secretaries I think the United States has ever seen. I don't think more things in transportation were falling apart at any other point than when Buttigieg was in charge. Thanks for listening to the show. This was another moment that was unfortunately shared widely. This shows you the contempt that liberals have for their own country. This is a WNBA commentator by the name of Rebecca Lobo, who was goaded by her co-host into apologizing for saying that America is great. I guess that makes you a Trump loyalist if you say that America is great. Check out this interaction, Producer Jack.
So they disagree with you. They do, and I disagree with them, and that's fine. That's what makes America great, right, Pantmore? I should rephrase that, yes.
What?
But yeah, I did think...
opinion are perfectly
Yes,
fine.
that's a better way to say it. Sorry about that.
No, don't like that.
So in the mind of these liberals, it's not even acceptable to say that the country is great anymore. They feel nothing but contempt for the nation. They feel nothing but contempt from you, and it oozes from every pore. Thanks for listening to the show. One more soundbite I wanted to play. Of course, you know how hard inflation has hit here in America, but the same can be said for overseas as well. And looks like Hermione, she's not feeling too happy about it. I joke, this isn't Hermione. This is a young little British girl who's feeling sassy about the price of ice cream in her neighborhood.
Girls, what's just happened?
So, there's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9 for 2 of them.
£9 for 2?
Yeah, £9. That is going to get nowhere. One that comes with my strings out of £1 a piece or £2. Like, he's going to get nowhere with that.
No, he ain't, is it?
No, he ain't.
That's well bad, isn't it?
You should know. And he only does bloody card. Stood there with my cash. Bloody hell.
That's well bad, isn't it?
Bloody well bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet he can hear me.
Oh, that is true. I didn't see that coming. An astute observation has led to laughter. We are laughing.
When they're that age, they call it spunky, but boy, I'll bet in a few years that little girl is going to be a big handful. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. More on the way. We'll tell you about how your car could be spying on you. Let's get this smart technology out of here. Stay tuned.
Hammer and Nigel.
Karine Jean-Pierre. Latest to put some tell-all book out there about the Biden White House and...
Oh, her horrible book. Karine Jean-Pierre and her horrible book. Ugh.
She's saying that she is leaving the Democrat Party now because of the way the party treated Joe Biden.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. Really, we did choose Galaxy, and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
You were blessed to have a home large enough to raise a family. But now the kids have been on their own for a while, and the house seems a little different. All those rooms are a bit too much to manage. Simple just seems better. Simple Quarters is a company that understands, and they can help you trade in your house for one that's a better fit for this point in your life. A lot of folks don't realize you can trade in your house like you can trade in your car. Simple Quarters will buy your house and help you transition into a new one all at the same time. No double mortgages or months of showing and stress. They streamline the process. Or they'll simply buy your house as is, and you can take the next steps on your own. Simple Quarters is a Christian company committed to making your real estate transitions easier. If you're considering downsizing, Simple Quarters offers both as-is home purchases and a convenient home trade-in option. Call Simple Quarters at 317-900-HOME. That's 317-900-HOME.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get up to $20,000 off select 2024 Navigators. up to $8,000 off select 2024 Lincoln Nautilus.
Come and see why the Roush family has served the community for over 53 years at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Navigator MSRP 105-195. Nautilus MSRP 60-195. 2025 Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
The news everyone's talking about, you'll find it at WIBC.com. The latest from City Hall, the White House, or the State House. Updated all day. Don't miss what matters. Stay in the know while you're on the go at WIBC and WIBC.com.
I started to cry, which started the whole world laughing.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Saturday Night on the Circle. Here's a question. Is your car spying on you? That's a problem with these smart devices, producer Jack. They are sharing more information than I think many people would believe. And, you know, it could come from your coffee machine, could come from your washing machine, or I guess your car, according to this TikTok creator. You better watch out.
Is your car spying on you? Here's how to check. You see, I just purchased a Toyota 4Runner after 18 years of driving a Honda Element. It was like a brick phone on wheels, but now I'm driving a smartphone with all kinds of tracking technology. So the first thing I did before even leaving the dealership was turn off as much data collection as possible. I downloaded the manufacturer's app, entered my VIN, and then declined all connected services features. These wirelessly transmit my location and vehicle health to Toyota. Then I went to vehicleprivacyreport.com, entered my VIN, and I about died when I saw all the tracking still on my car. My 4Runner collects identifiers like my name, mailing address, email, and demographic info. It also collects biometrics, including my geolocation, driver's license, and financial info. And I learned my car not only tracks my data, it sells it too. My car sells information to affiliates like sponsors, partners, and advertisers. It shares my data with service providers and its affiliated insurance company, but only if I provided consent, which I don't remember doing. And finally, it should come as a surprise to no one that car companies will share your data with the government when legally obligated to do so. So I opted out of targeted advertising, the sharing or selling of my data, and any marketing communications. Now check your car's privacy and let me know.
This is a waking nightmare, producer Jack. Your car should not be able to track that much information about you and then share it with third parties that you have no knowledge of, let alone what the government might have access to. This is some shadowy, shady stuff. And at this point, I am willing to pay extra money to not have any of this digital bullcrap added to my devices. I don't want smart devices. I don't want smart cars. I don't want my stuff spying on me, listening to me. We already know that the phones do. They passively listen to your conversations and give you targeted advertisements. This is some dystopian psycho stuff, and I'm sick of it at this point, producer Jack. This smart technology is a curse and a bane. Cars should be mechanical. You should be able to take them and fix them on a mechanical basis. They should not be spying on you. They should not have computers inside them. Maybe that's a little bit old-fashioned, but, you know, I don't want my car tracking where I go and then telling other people about it.
Me neither.
Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. Coming up next, a socialist descends on New York City. We'll tell you more in hour 2. Stay tuned.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off or schedule a pickup, and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
JMV here. The hot summer sales continue at Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens, happening now. Save more when you buy more trees and shrubs. Now when you buy 2, you save 10%, 4, 20%, and get this, you buy 6 or more trees and or shrubs, and you save 30%. Also, if you need a refresh in the porch planters, annuals are 30% off. Miss M's Home and Garden, State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville, Sundown Gardens 186 and Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Daisy was abandoned by her family and placed in foster care at 15 years old. Her life was full of uncertainty. She thought she'd never have a permanent place to call home.
Before I was adopted, I felt like I wasn't enough. I had this hole in my heart, and I never knew what I needed to patch that hole. But when my mom asked to adopt me, that hole was closed. It feels so normal now to say that I'm a part of this family. I am surrounded by love. I feel safe. And that hole inside of me is gone. I am whole. I'm finally enough just as I am.
The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is changing the lives of teenagers at risk of aging out of foster care. Like Daisy, every child deserves a permanent, loving home. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
The Senate braces for an all-nighter. I'm Daria Albinger. Fox News. Order the pizzas. It could be a long night on Capitol Hill. Senate Republicans say they're ready to take a vote to begin debate on President Trump's big, beautiful bill. He wants it passed by Friday, July 4th. Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on Fox News Live.
We've all had time to negotiate what we want on the bill. And at the end of the day, your idea may be a great idea, but you have to deliver 51 votes. 49 doesn't get you there. 51 is the key number to pass.
But Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says first he wants the entire bill read aloud. All 940 pages. That could take hours. Meanwhile, Elon Musk says just scrap it. The former head of Doge posting on X that the latest version of the bill is utterly insane. He says it's focused on the past and not on the future. A Supreme Court ruling has put President Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship a step closer to reality. The justices say lower courts cannot issue nationwide injunctions on federal issues. Here's Fox's Madeline Rivera.
Some of these policies that they're looking to pursue include ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee settlement, and ending birthright citizenship. Democrats say the Supreme Court's ruling undermines a crucial check on the president's use of executive authority. The president argues otherwise.
Well, this really brings back the Constitution. This is what it's all about. And this is really the opposite of that. I mean, the question is fine, but it's the opposite. The Constitution has been brought back.
The High Court, though, did not rule on whether birthright citizenship order, whether that is constitutional. That was what this case was initially about. Attorney General Pam Bondi did not give too many details about how that order will be implemented as it continues to be litigated.
The court also ruled to allow parents to opt their children out of lessons involving LGBTQ books. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
It's time to take the quiz.
It's 5 questions in less than 5 minutes. We asked people on the streets of New York City to play along. Let's see how you do.
What is the name of the coffee shop in the sitcom Friends?
Mel's Diner.
Central Perk.
The answer? Central Perk.
Either way, you can always try again tomorrow. Take the quiz every day at thequiz.fox, then come back here to see how you did.
And thank you for taking the quiz.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Ending a standoff in handcuffs. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. A shooting on the east side of Indianapolis sparked a wild chase that ended in a crash on the west side. Ryan Hedrick has the story.
It was about 8:45 on Saturday morning when cops got a call near 42nd and Midhofer. About 3 people shot. About 20 minutes later, a black pickup truck being driven by a guy with light skin and dreads crashed into a buy here, pay here car lot along 16th Street, right on the corner of West Winfield. The car heavily damaged by the chase, surrounded by police and a drone. About an hour later, the guy's girlfriend and mother showed up, talked him out of the car, and the cops placed him in cuffs. A total of 2 people are in jail for that shooting on the east side, and police say that shooting led to this chase on the west side. Reporting from Indianapolis's west side, Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A 10-month-old is dead after the car they were in crashed and then caught on fire. The incident happening in LaPorte County. Deputies say they couldn't approach the vehicle due to intense flames. Once firefighters extinguished the fire, the child had not survived. The identity of the 10-month-old has not been disclosed. Big changes are coming to Indiana's Department of Child Services. They are launching the Awaken Project, which is to sharpen how officials serve families. Governor Mike Braun says they are cutting out some of that middle management to free up millions of dollars. That money will go straight to the front lines with foster care and family caseworkers helping to keep children safe. Officials are even hiring more case managers. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Tonight, in the lower 70s, partly cloudy skies, some areas of patchy fog. For Sunday, we'll have partly cloudy skies to start, turning mostly cloudy, spotty afternoon downpours, highs in the mid to upper 80s. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Beck Toyota has been sold to the Hubler Automotive Group, and this is your best chance to save before the grand opening of Hubler Toyota. Choose from Camrys, Corollas, Highlanders, Tundras, and more. Lease a new 2025 Toyota RAV4, just $349 per month. Or a new Tacoma, $299 per month. So if you've been turned away due to the crowds, come back. This is your best chance to save before the grand opening of Hubler Toyota. Don't miss it on US 31 South in Indianapolis, across from Hubler Chevrolet. Visit HublerToyota.com. New RAV4s, $349 per month. Or new Tacomas, $299 per month. All offers end June 30th. Select models, approved credit, plus tax tag title license, $199 dealer doc, RAV4 model 4432, Tacoma model 7540, 36 months, $29.99 due, 0 security, 10,000 annual miles, 15 cents per mile thereafter.
The Attorney General's Unclaimed Property Division has over $800 million just waiting to be claimed. Text Tamara and Nigel to 46220 or visit indianaunclaimed.gov to claim yours today.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
By now, you've heard the distressing news coming from New York City. The Democratic primary, a socialist for immigrants by the name of Zohran Mamdani has won the Democrat primary, and I suspect you are looking at the future mayor of New York City. Nothing is written in stone, of course, but much like after Mike Braun secured victory in the Indiana primary, because of the political makeup of New York City, because of the political makeup of Indiana, Mike Braun was assured to be governor, and in New York City, I assume it will be a easy victory for Zohran Mamdani, and that should send a shiver up your spine, producer Jack, because this foreign immigrant socialist to the city is promising in a foreign language campaign ad free stuff, free giveaways for the more than 40% of the city that is foreign born now. This is frightening.
बात ये नहीं है कि मैं क्या बनूंगा,
बात ये है कि मैं क्या करूंगा हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए। मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा। न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ। रेंट फ्री बसेस, यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए। पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ, तुमने कभी किसी को वोट किया?
I'd like an ice cream about this high. Okay, coming right up. What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free?
Who would have imagined that New York City in only 24 years would be going from being attacked by Muslims to electing one potentially to be the mayor of the entire city? And not just a Muslim, but a socialist, a radical, somebody who intends on fully funding gender reassignment surgery for children in the city, somebody who is promising free buses, rent-frees, and government-owned grocery stores, producer Jack. This is not just socialist. This is deeply communist stuff. Somebody who has declared the entire institution of the NYPD as a racist relic and inherently anti-queer, and violence, producer Jack, violent crime is just in your imagination. This, according to Zohran Mamdani.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
Am I evil? Am I like an evil person?
Oh my God. I mean, absolutely. Do I not tell you that enough? You are like the most evil guy I know, man.
This has been made possible by a relentless crusade of dilution throughout the city. Here's a little bit of demographic information on New York City. Around 31% of the city is white non-Hispanic, Hispanic or Latino population, about 28%, Black or African American population, about 20%, Asian, approximately 15%, and American Indian or Alaskan non-Hispanic, less than 1% of the population. But the more insidious statistic to be gleaned here, producer Jack, is about 36% of New York City residents were born outside the United States, foreign born, just like Zohran Mamdani, who wasn't a citizen until about 8 years ago, and now he is potentially going to be the next mayor of New York City. Nearly 40% of the entire city foreign born, not just second or third generation immigrants or children of immigrants, but fully fledged foreign born citizens who have now taken up residence in New York City. New York City has essentially turned itself into a modern day Tower of Babel. Now, producer Jack, are you familiar with the Tower of Babel in the biblical accounts?
No.
Of course, I believe this is, allegorical rather than literal, but in the Bible, the Tower of Babel in early ancient Babylon were a grouping of people who believed themselves to be superior to the divine, and they built a tower in recognition of this, and as punishment, God confused the languages and scattered the peoples across the earth. That's what's happened. The allegory in the Bible is what's happened literally in New York City by diluting the population of the city with these foreign immigrants. Can you say it is any longer an American city, especially as it approaches more than 50% being foreign immigrants? If you have a broom, producer Jack, and you switch the handle and you switch the head and you keep doing this over and over and over again, do you really have the same broom anymore? And the answer is no, you have replaced it. And that's what's happening in the city of New York. It's very scary stuff that has empowered Zohran Mamdani's rise to power, potentially. And again, he's promising these socialist giveaways, including rent freezes, that have an extremely deleterious effect on the local economy.
I'm Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, and I'm running for mayor to freeze the rent for every rent-stabilized tenant.
Wait, you're gonna freeze my rent?
Yes.
Did I hear rent freeze?
Yes! This guy's gonna freeze the rent. No hike?
None.
This guy's gonna freeze the rent.
It's true. As your next mayor, I will freeze your rent.
Paid for by Zoran for NYC.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Rent-stabilized properties in New York City have gotten so out of control, producer Jack, now owners are deciding it is more profitable for them to just default on their mortgage payments and let the property go into foreclosure than continue to pay the property taxes and maintenance costs of these rent-stabilized buildings because they are not profitable. You cannot run rental properties like a charity, which is what Zohran Mamdani is asking landlords to do. Out of the goodness of their heart, provide these houses that don't pay for themselves, that are losing money because the rent-stabilized properties are below a market rate, below a rate that's even adequate to pay the taxes and the repairs, and so they're just letting the buildings rot. Here in New York, more than 176 rent-stabilized units were foreclosed since 2022, and another 2,000 rent-stabilized units have been put on notice by banks this last April for defaulting on their mortgages. So more on the way, and it's caused by policies like this socialist is promising. So, I mean, get ready, Val, because you're going to be in for a problem if Zohran Mamdani actually is elected as the mayor of New York. Now, his opposition are the current incumbent, Mayor Eric Adams, who is running as an independent. The Democrats turned on him after scandals in the administration, including questions on foreign campaign donations. So that's some shady stuff. And then also you have the Republican who's got a snowball's chance in Ecuador of winning, Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa is one of the founders of the Guardian Angels and a talk show host in the area. So he has name recognition, but I doubt he'll be able to surmount the partisanship of the city and the demographic makeup thereof. It's just a very remote possibility. So, you know, get ready, because I think New York is going to be in for a struggle, and we're going to see an influx, I believe, of people who are leaving the city as a result of those policies. And as long as they don't bring their politics here, I suppose they are welcome to flee. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Of course, we've been talking about Zohran Mamdani's candidacy, but I also wanted to play this clip from Joy Reid, who was confronted on CNN about Zohran and his policies potentially plunging New York City back all the way to the 1970s, and I think that's being conservative.
What I want to ask you a question. What is your evidence that Mamdani would return New York City to the 1970s hellhole Times Square? What is your evidence of
It's
that?
very simple. So he wants to raise taxes on people who make the most money. What eventually is going to happen is you're going to lose that tax base. Once you lose that tax base, our bonds will get degraded. Now the city budget will not be substantial enough to subsidize not only the cops, but the fire department, the sanitation department. Once you start losing Wall Street and people who pay $11,000, $12,000 a month to live on the Upper East Side, you're done.
Let me ask
and you go back to the 70s when Gerald Ford said to New York, drop dead.
Damn right. I mean, he's absolutely right. These are incredibly regressive policies. Socialism, communism fails every time it's tried. And if you want a glimpse into the mentality, the mindset that empowers dishonest actors like Zohran Mamdani from and propels them going forward, here's another clip from CNN where they characterize chants like "Death to America" as being surprisingly friendly. And when you have a mentality like that, then of course the promises of Zohran Mamdani probably sound very melodic to your ears.
The question is whether or not the calm can remain when the regime that is still there, who wants death to America, death to Israel, stays in place. And that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two sort of jarring realities of the chant and yet the friendliness have existed together.
Hey, pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Pure delusion, friendliness being compared to a Death to America chant. That's insane. But that is the mindset of the left. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Coming up next, Carl's Conspiracy Corner. Don't miss it.
Tony Katz.
I got an email from someone yesterday telling me that they like my midday show, but aside from my opening monologue and the popcorn moment, the morning show is nothing but a bag of hot wind and me, and I quote, playing grab ass with the traffic guy and the weather lady.
I was hoping that was true.
True story. Signed, David Wood, who is our program director. I was shocked.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Summer is almost here. Soon you'll be taking trips, going to your favorite restaurants, getting ice cream, and spending time with friends. But let's face it, your home needs attention this summer too, and summer fun can add up. Have you ignored your drywall cracks, uneven sagging or bouncing floors, stuck windows and doors, bugs and pests, heightened indoor allergies, mold and mildew smells? Don't worry. With a free inspection from Indiana Foundation Service, you can find out what you need to do to protect your home and your family by pinpointing your home's issues at the source. Indiana Foundation Service has flexible financing plans for you to take advantage of, saving you money that you can spend elsewhere. Indiana Foundation Service wants you to feel comfortable when fixing your problems and making a solid investment towards your home's future. Just visit IndianaFoundation.com today and schedule these local experts to come take a quick look.
Indiana Foundation Service, reliability from the ground up.
At Puccini's, we think less screen time and more quality mealtime is the better way. Eat, talk, and dine with less blue light glaring or talking heads blaring while enjoying great food at a reasonable price is the Puccini's way. Dine in for hot, delicious food prepared fresh and to your liking. If you need anything, we're right there so you'll leave full and happy. We have delivery options and carryout, but let's start dining in together again the way we all used to enjoy so much.
Puccini's Pizza, Pasta, Puccini's.
Hey, this is Denny Smith for LD Smith Plumbing. Lance Smith joins me right now. No, we're not related, but I'd be proud to call him my son, my uncle, my cousin, whatever. Lance, welcome to the studio.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, sump pumps, they're coming up. You guys, it's probably time to get your sump pump special. You brag on this every year.
Yep, it's a real deal. Free primary sump pump with the purchase of a battery backup system. Simple as that. No hidden labor fees or anything like that. 317-927-7186 or ldsmithplumbing.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Create a glowing backyard retreat with Indie Decorative Concrete. Get a free outdoor lighting package with the purchase of our best stamped concrete patio. Hurry, offer ends June 30th. Go to indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Smokey the Bear. Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
There are 48 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to access a free guide to help navigate your caregiving journey.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
But you
Tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
This is the one and only Saturday Night on the Circle, and I'm your Bohemian codger, Ethan Hatcher. My podcasts are uploaded to WIBC.com and SaturdayNightOnTheCircle.fireside.fm, my personal podcasting page, and we're streaming live on the YouTube machine 7 to 9 every Saturday night. Hop in the chat and join the fun. Last week, you listened live as the United States launched a targeted attack on 3 Iranian nuclear processing centers, setting back their enrichment program significantly. Critics say the surprise attack serves the interests of Israel more than Americans and could plunge the nation into escalating military conflict. Peering past the headlines and delving deep into the dark corners of political intrigue, tonight, the intrepid producer Carl joins us for another edition of Carl's Conspiracy Corner.
You're listening to Carl's Conspiracy Corner. The truth is out there.
Have you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water?
Well, yeah, I can't say I have.
The views expressed by Conspiracy Carl are those of Carl and Carl alone. They are not the views of his station or its distributors. I mean, obviously.
Deep beneath the streets of Indianapolis, in an undisclosed broadcasting bunker encased in concrete and lined with lead, producer Carl joins us once again. Tell us, what have you got on the agenda? Tell us more about the Iranian-Israeli-American conflict and the bombing of those nuclear facilities.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The attack did occur while you were on the air on Saturday night.
I covered it live during the tail end of my show last week, and then we went straight into live coverage, producer Jack and I, with Fox News. So it was fascinating to watch while it was happening.
I wanted to do it on Thursday, but I'm going to have to wait until Saturday when Ethan is on the air with Saturday Night on the Circle.
We'll do it live! And they did.
So, I wanted to discuss this, and we had mentioned this in last week's Conspiracy Corner segment, that there are members on the alt-right that are... Without me throwing the anti-Semitic label out there, it's
not a big fan of Zionists in Israel.
Yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable to constantly be blaming the Jews for basically formulating our foreign policy. The United States has a vested foreign interest in Israel surviving as a nation in the Middle East. If Israel was to disappear off the map, that would hurt United States foreign policy. So let's not jump to conclusions that Trump is just some dumb puppet of Netanyahu and he's just doing whatever Netanyahu wants him to do. Donald Trump also has his interests in maintaining the U.S. strength in the region. Remember, a lot of our oil, even though we're drill baby drill, a lot of the oil is still coming out of the Middle East, and it serves none of our interests if the United States does not play a role in that part of the world.
And the only other alternative would be primarily buying oil from South America, which doesn't produce the same quantity as the Middle East, or Russia, which also endangers our geopolitical interests.
And the South Americans aren't necessily our friends either.
Well, there you go.
With Maduro. So, Candace Owens, you're going to roll your eyes. I mean, just look it up for yourself. I didn't want to pull any clips from Candace Owens because they're particularly hostile towards Jewish people and what's going on.
Spicy content.
Yeah, and it's gross because, as we discussed in the Conspiracy Corner podcast as a whole, not on this segment, but on the whole part of the podcast, the anti-Semitism is gross because there's this belief that all the problems in the Middle East, if the Jews weren't there, then we wouldn't have problems in the Middle East. Well, the Jews have always been in the Middle East. I mean, all you have to do is look at the Bible. The Jews have always been in that part of the world, and they are completely surrounded by enemies. They have the right to exist, and for people to say, well, look at what they're doing. They're bombing all these innocent people. It's like, well, they're being constantly attacked. I don't have a problem with the Jewish nation nation fighting back.
Don't have a problem with the Jewish nation defending itself. Sure. However, the question remains how much the United States should commit itself to supporting other nations. And I agree, they have the right to self-defense, but whether or not we should commit our military resources, I think, is a fair question, considering that Donald Trump was originally elected on the premise that he wasn't going to entangle us in these foreign wars, just like Ukraine, just like the Iraq-Afghanistan conflict that he fought to get us out of.
Well, so to go back and watch Donald Trump over his political career, it's the constant, endless wars, foreign wars. And as we've seen demonstrated, at least for now, he did what he wanted to do, attack the nuclear the nuclear facilities in Iran and get out. And you notice he was very angry after the United States attack that they continued to fight on.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
So I clipped the part where he drops the F-bomb, but if you listen to everything that he said prior, he says, I'm very angry with Israel over and over and over again. And this whole notion that Israel is telling Trump what to do, Trump is doing what he wants to do. I mean, if you listen to what he's talked about for many decades now, is that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And he achieved what he wanted to achieve. Because, look, no other president has done what I've done. I've dealt with it.
The influence of Israel is ultimately not something that I think the United States needs fear. It is the influence of the military-industrial complex, something that we covered on last week's edition of the show.
Sure.
Because we played the clip from Dwight D. Eisenhower in his farewell address to the nation in 1961, where he warned about the incursion and the influence that these private corporations manufacturing military assets wield against the United States and potentially against our own interests. And that, I think, is a totally fair criticism in this conflict.
Sure. And so we cannot rest peacefully that it's all over. I mean,
no. And that's the other thing. I think Trump is fooling himself if for a moment he believes that this bombing is going to prevent Iran ultimately from continuing to pursue nuclear enrichment or from acquiring at some point in the future potentially a nuclear weapon. Let's be honest, Carl, that genie's out of the bottle, and it's been out since what, 1955, 1960 certainly. You can't prevent nations from pursuing science and acquiring knowledge which is already out there. The knowledge of how to build and acquire these weapons already exists. So I'm not sure how you would prevent them from ultimately finding their way there.
So you are correct. We can't rest on our laurels. We can't think that all of a sudden Donald J. Trump has created peace in the Middle East. So there are things to watch out for. The things that concern me are potential false flags. We didn't discuss last week, but the USS Nimitz is out there in the area, and I don't know if you were aware of this. It's about to be decommissioned. It's a perfect target to take out and go, look, the Iranians took out the USS Nimitz, and we're going to go to war with them.
Oh, so it could be another Maine. Remember the Maine?
Yeah. So we need to be wary. You know what? If I hear that the USS Nimitz is hit, it's a false flag, people.
Okay, and you heard it here. You heard it here first. Let's put the pin in it. So now you know. And if we called it, then we can reference this episode.
And we can go back in recent history, even history that you were alive for.
Sure,
Ethan. 9/11. I don't know what necessarily occurred on 9/11. I won't claim to know all of the pieces that were behind 9/11.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
What I'm pretty certain of is that the narrative is not the truth. And speaking of which, you know that Air India plane, it crashed into a building. And you notice The tail was still intact, and that building was still intact, other than where it collided to. Yeah, so it's very strange. The World Trade Center, both of them came down. And then let's not forget, World Trade Center Building 7 came down, and it wasn't hit by a thing.
Wasn't hit by any plane. Yeah, still a head scratcher, but there we go.
Yeah.
Questions that can only be pondered on the one and only Conspiracy Corner with producer Carl.
Which you can, by the way, find on Conspiracy Corner with Carl, all with C's.com. So we're now there, and we're all, on all of the major podcast applications.
We are officially rolling, and I think that's exciting news.
It's great news.
Thanks for joining us, Carl.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Have a wonderful Independence Day.
And stay tuned for more on Saturday night on The Circle, 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Look at how he just broke it further than it was already broken. Why would you think he's going to fix anything?
You have the chance.
You know who you need to listen to? Us. We're the ones who are right. We're the ones who will tell you how it is. We're the ones who always stand up and own it. You need to listen to us. Stop listening to these politicians. They are to blame.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Every child deserves the best teachers, facilities, and academic programs to set them up for success both now and in the future. At Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we make that a reality for children from qualifying families who are looking for greater opportunities. Milton Hershey School enrolls students from pre-K through 12th grade from across the United States to live and learn on a beautiful state-of-the-art campus with all costs covered. Students who are accepted to Milton Hershey School have access to a top-tier education, along with health care, meals, housing, and fully funded career pathways to pursue whatever they're passionate about, from performing arts to internships to coding. Students can even accrue up to $95,000 to continue their education after high school, thanks to the generosity of chocolatier Milton Hershey and his wife, Catherine. Are you looking to set your child up for success or know a child who could benefit from Milton Hershey School? Learn more at mhskids.org/admissions.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Fox News, I'm Ann Carrick. The Senate is voting on the motion to proceed with debate on the One Big Beautiful Bill. This needs a simple majority to pass, just 51 votes. Could be a long night on the Senate floor as Democrats demand a full reading out loud of the 940-page reconciliation bill. A private funeral for Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman, both gunned down at their home by a man posing as law enforcement. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz delivering a eulogy.
For 7 years, I have had the privilege of signing her agenda into law. I know millions of Minnesotans get to live their lives better because she and Mark chose public service and politics.
Her colleagues remembering her as a friend, mentor, true public servant dedicated to fellow Minnesotans. America's listening to Fox News.
So what's in the bag today? Yesterday's leftovers? Another lunch meat sandwich? Well, go ahead and pull up a rock and settle in for a half hour of I wish I was eating something else. Or you could be eating something else, or someplace else. If you're brown bagging it at the corner of 30th and Shadeland area, drop over to His Place Eatery for 30 minutes of, why didn't I know about this place sooner? Nothing fancy, not a lot of frills. They save that for the quality of the meal. Like ribs that fall off the bone, southern fried chicken, Sides that will cause your taste buds to thank you into tomorrow. Put that in your brown bag and eat it. Better yet, bank the bag. Go to His Place Eatery at the corner of 30th and Shadeland, or the newest location off 86th and Ditch Road. Your dirty boots and work clothes are welcome here. His Place, your place for lunch. Go to hisplaceeatery.com to learn more.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Summer clean with Zero Res. Get 3 rooms cleaned starting at just $129 plus $75 off air duct cleaning. Call 317-388-5141, ZeroResIndy.com.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
The phone-ready quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone-ready quiz.
I love those dear hearts and gentle people.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Because those dear hearts.
Welcome back to 93 WIBC Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm the bespectacled curmudgeon, Ethan Hatcher. Thanks for listening to the show. You can find my podcast uploaded to WIBC.com, as well as my personal podcasting page, Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm. And if you're with us on the YouTube machine right now while we broadcast live from 7 to 9, make sure to hop in the chat, say hello, and also give us a like. Hit the thumbs up button. It helps us in the algorithm, helps the station, and helps the show keep on keeping on. Your support really does mean the world to me. Thanks for listening, and that's producer Jack, by the way. Beep, 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 on the board, pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function. This segment, I wanted to talk about the curious priorities of Democrats. Whenever you get a peek into their mind, it really tells you a lot about them, because they are more concerned with the status and the well-being of non-citizens than their own constituents. And I'm not making that up, not exaggerating. I'll play you a clip in just a moment that goes to show this. But you know, producer Jack, these license plate readers that we've got a few of them around the city around here. They passively observe license plates, but in a moment of crisis, if you've got somebody on the run, then it can give you law enforcement the information that they need to know to track the movement and the whereabouts of where those individuals might be. This technology can also be used in red light cameras to highlight people's license plates and then remotely send them tickets, something that is currently being debated here in the city of Indianapolis, including red light cameras, so that way they can continue or ticket you without the need of law enforcement ever intervening. But in Denver, there is a Denver councilwoman who is more concerned about illegal immigrants, such that they are willing to limit the government's ticketing collection revenue stream by removing these license plate trackers and red light cameras. This Denver councilwoman, she's so concerned, you see, because the federal government might use that tracking information to track down illegal immigrants. She cares more about them than the citizens.
Loveland police say the ATF came to town to help them on the Tesla vandalism case, and they gave them their flock access.
Any police department can just say, no, we're not sharing with anybody.
An audit of national flock searches shows A Bro, using Loveland's account, ran 6 searches in late April, and in the column for the search reason, wrote ICE. When we asked, Loveland police said that the ATF had its own flock account.
By the way, ATF is not a customer of Flock.
Loveland police also added it doesn't monitor the ATF's activity on it, though it can.
If there are ATF agents who can go into the Flock system as a Loveland user, that means they automatically have full access to all plate images in Denver.
Denver City Councilwoman Sarah Parody is pushing for Denver to immediately end its contract with Flock. The city voted last month not to renew a contract beyond 2025. Denver shares its data with 86 agencies, including Loveland.
It does confirm what we were most worried about.
Parity fears ICE agents could get into the network and track people down.
Like zoinks, man! This is really spooky!
Yeah, this doesn't feel safe.
Let's get out of here!
Okay, so for however many years these things have been operational, it's been perfectly fine in the mind of this councilwoman to track the movements and the whereabouts of legal citizens. It's been perfectly fine to engage in this road piracy of automatic ticket enforcement from these red light cameras that do little to actually make the road safer and do more to raise revenue for the city government and to extract wealth from you. That was all fine. But then when it dawns on this councilwoman that the same technology could be used to track and to trace the movements and whereabouts and direction of illegal immigrants, whoa, that's a bridge too far. These Democrats truly do not give a damn about the citizens, and they care more about illegal immigrants because by supporting this constant stream of immigration, they are putting their thumbs on the scale of the census. This is the dirty little secret, producer Jack, because when the census is taken every 10 years and the apportionment is granted to Congress based on the population of the states, they include the population of illegal immigrants, too. That's why there are more than 50 congressional seats in California. They're putting the thumb on the scale. That's why they care more about them than they do about you. You're here, but they can always take in a few more illegals to put the thumb on the scale for the census. This is some scary, gross stuff. Also echoed by members of Congress, this is Dila Ramirez, who is more concerned about protecting Trende Awagra gang members than the citizens in our own country. Shocking.
This is about continuing to equip Trump with tools to execute his anti-immigrant agenda. That's unfortunately what this bill is actually going to do. Trende Awagra has become a dog whistle to justify every racist, xenophobic action this administration wants to take, particularly against Latino men.
Oh, that was horrible! You're horrible! You're an irredeemable monster!
Whoa, what took you so long, idiot?
I mean, it is a warped worldview that would lead you to a conclusion the deportation of gang members and terrorists is in any way a race-based policy. No, that's ensuring the safety of our citizens, something these Democrats clearly don't care about. But that's what Donald Trump was elected to accomplish. He was elected to enforce the border. The election of Donald Trump was a sound, resounding rejection of Biden open border policy, and the American people have had enough. That's they were making their voice clear. Here's a representative who does listen to the people and who does care about their safety. Ron DeSantis, he was showing off the new construction of what has been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz being built in the Everglades on a disused airstrip to house and process illegal immigrants and return them to their homes. Now, some Democrats would have you believe, oh, they're going to be kept in inhumane, unsanitary, unsafe conditions. They won't have access to air conditioning. Producer Jack, nothing could be further from the truth. Here's Ron DeSantis leading around Fox News and showing them the facility, showing them the rather massive air conditioning units. Trust me, these people will be fine while we process them and return them home.
All the stuff that goes into intake and processing of illegals, you're seeing this put up. This is all 24 hours. 24 hours from now, you're going to see even more. And by Tuesday, this will be able to have intake of illegals.
And you've thought of everything. Okay, so there are 4 gigantic tents. Let's come on over here, Governor. And people are thinking, okay, you're in the middle of the Everglades. It's hot. That would explain why you've got this bank of air conditioners here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be, illegals will come in, they'll be processed. There'll be places for them to be housed. You'll have an ability for food. You'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area. And then, of course, you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facilities.
Yep, right there.
Yep.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally.
Hyperbolic, breathless, pearl-clutching liberals are trying to slander this as a concentration camp instead of an immigrant processing facility. But I don't recall there ever being legal aid in Auschwitz producer Jack. I don't think they provided them with air conditioners either. So no, this sounds exactly like what's needed to rectify the enormous injustice that was inflicted on our country by the open door border policies of the Biden administration. And it is not inhumane to send you back home. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. More on the way. Of course, we'll be celebrating Independence Day at the end of the week. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Hammer and Nigel.
Weatherman upset that Trump cutting some funding to the National Weather Service. The war on science. Yeah, tell me more about that science that told me I had to wear a mask made in China that didn't protect me from anything. Tell me about the science of 6 feet apart. Tell me about the science of being in a restaurant. You can sit down and eat with no mask, but you got to stand up and wear a mask. But if you go to Cannes, you got to stand back up and put it on again.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Everyone is talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation. Like your neighbor Dennis.
I was in the process of refinishing my garage and, trying to turn it into a man cave. So I started searching, online, and I ran across Galaxy.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings is not epoxy. It's better.
First thing I wanted to do initially is I wanted to repair where the concrete had eroded. They said they could do that. I said, well, heck, let me go ahead and get the entire floor covered.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
They were so courteous and respectful of the home and the property. And when they're done, they cleaned up, picked up, swept up. It was like they were never there.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
I would recommend Galaxy over any other competitor, hands down. You're going to be taken care of and you're going to be satisfied. These guys know what they're doing.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Williams, and I want to share with you the role that diabetes has had in my family. I lost my grandmother at the early age of 64 due to complications with diabetes. She was warm, generous, and a constant encouragement for me to follow my heart. Did you know that African Americans experience chronic kidney disease at a rate that's 25% higher than white Americans? And we're almost 4 times more likely to develop kidney failure. Diabetes and high blood pressure are leading causes of kidney disease, which can result in kidney failure, needing dialysis, or a kidney transplant. The good news is that you have the power to check out how well your kidneys are doing and learn ways to prevent them from failing. So go to your doctor and get yourself checked out. Visit linkbylovetv.org to learn more. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
Hey, y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Addiction doesn't just affect one person, it touches everyone around them. That's why Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick created the Supporting Sobriety podcast. It's for the friends and family standing behind, offering hope, guidance, and real talk. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
All the moon men want things their way.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Goodbye.
Welcome back to Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher, coasting things to a close here on a Saturday night. Thanks for joining me and producer Jack and spending your time in the chat. I always enjoy interacting and seeing the audience while the show is going on. And if you haven't done so, make sure to make your way over to the YouTube machine and give the show a like. Means all the world to us. And if we get more than 50, eventually producer Jack is going to get that Werther's original candy from his grandma. It's going to happen. Of course, on Friday, we have my favorite holiday. Independence Day is going on across the nation. Producer Jack, are you stoked? You got your fireworks ready and assembled?
I think those days are over.
What do you mean over? What do you mean over? It's never over to enjoy fireworks. Are you saying you've aged out, Producer Jack? Are you honestly trying to convince me and this audience with a straight face that anyone could ever age out of blowing stuff up?
No, but I mean, like, if you're purchasing them yourself, it can get expensive, but there's always those, city fireworks shows you can go to.
Well, I guess if you're a cheapskate, but blowing the stuff up yourself is part of the fun. I love 4th of July, and I will be celebrating with my friends in Pennsylvania. So unfortunately, next Saturday, that means I will not be sharing the airwaves with you. Producer Jack will be putting together a best of show. I'm sure I leave it in your capable hands. I'm sure you'll do a very good job. But I will be celebrating, getting some stuff and blowing some stuff up in Pennsylvania. And yeah, I mean, I guess it really is like lighting your money on fire when you're just buying the fireworks and then blowing them up. But, that's worth it. It's part of the fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it way more than any other holiday. I mean, I am a bigger fan of Independence Day than Halloween or St. Patty's Day or Christmas. I mean, nothing beats going out back, blowing stuff up, drinking a beer, grilling some stuff for 4th of July, and then spending time with your friends. Like, this is and celebrate the greatest country on earth in the process. That's what Independence Day is all about, my friend.
Yeah, very true.
Maybe you should get in the spirit, head over down to Jake's Fireworks there on 465 and Washington Street, and get yourself a few
some
little
mortars.
things. Buy some mortars. You can get a pretty good deal on a mortar package if you buy it in sufficient quantity.
Yeah.
That's the trick. They always want you to buy in quantity.
Yeah.
And then also, while I am down in Pennsylvania, I will be taking care of another project that, if anybody has been listening to this radio show over the last couple years, they know my struggle with Pennsylvania Mechanic and rectifying my truck repairs. Finally, it seems like we will be having our long-awaited court hearing on Monday morning. So we will see how that goes, and I will report back to you, my faithful listeners. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, by the way. And if you missed a moment of the show, make sure to catch my podcasts uploaded to Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm as well as WIBC.com. Wrapping things up, so I leave you with my parting words of wisdom, as always, wherever you are, whoever you're with, and whatever you're doing, remember that life is a state of mind. I'm out next week, ladies and gentlemen, but I will return 2 weeks from now, July 12th. See you then.
Tony Katz.
I got an email from someone yesterday.